Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Hippie Dippy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Jeffrey J.
And oh, come on! Ladies first. Go for it.
Coke. Yell me a Coke. Is that what you're supposed to say? I'm Cassidy Bowker.
I'm Bo Bowker, another one of your hosts. My friend Chip, also mentioned on a previous podcast, he used to say, Jinx, you owe me 10 blowjobs.
Oh.
And he was so good at that game. I owe that guy so many blowjobs.
He was good. Yeah, he was good at the taking.
Yeah, he's...
It's not what I said.
Strange opening.
Look, last episode was hand jobs. This episode, we're just going to keep building up.
Yeah, I think that he was trying to train you to, for you to finally start saying, oh, now, Jinx, you owe me 10 blowjobs. And he's like, gotta pay up.
Well, no, at that point, I had to try and jinx him and get him to owe me 10 blowjobs so that our blowjobs would cancel out. My preference would be to get to a sum total of 0 blowjobs owed in either direction. It wasn't like, hey, you owe me 10 blowjobs, and then I owed him 10 blowjobs. And then we're just like, all right, it's today the day we're going to settle up on these 20 blowjobs.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have a boys' weekend.
Oh, man.
I love it.
Glad we got that out at the top.
Yeah.
As Jeffrey said, this is the Hippie Dippy Show, and we're at episode 5.
Yeah.
And we're doing great. And you guys are doing a great job of watching on YouTube and listening on iTunes and wherever podcasts are downloaded for free.
Yeah.
So, thank you, guys. And as always, if you guys want to reach out to us, we're at my daughter, I think, is going to come out any moment. We're at Hippie Dippy Show on Instagram and Hippie Dippy Show at gmail.com if you want to write us a really long, beautiful email or a horrible email that's just berating us about how gross we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, too, you can leave us a comment on iTunes. That would be fabulous.
Yes. Rate and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube as well. And leave us comments. In fact, thank you, Jeff. That leads right into our comment section of the show. Thank you, everybody who left comments all over the internet this week. That was really awesome. We feel so loved. It lets us know that you guys are digging what we're doing. This week, we got a lovely comment from Mari D, who's been, I don't even want to call her a fan of the show. She's a friend of the show. Because we've known her for years. She's come to our stand-up shows, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And, she's just always been so supportive and wonderful and such a bright light. And so she left a comment this week.
What'd she say?
Well, okay, relax. She's telling us some of the spots in which that she really enjoyed, that she found to be hilarious. She said that Cassidy was stealing the show.
What?
Yeah. I know, I didn't like it either. But we're glad we're making you laugh. And then she wrote this. Read it for us, Cass, please.
This part? Or this part?
Bottom part.
This
please.
part? Or this part?
Now she's milking it. She's like, she loves me.
I'm just stealing the show.
Hair flip.
He's getting so mad. Also, while I am here, I love this podcast you guys are doing. It is relaxing. I love the ending of each episode with Cass closing out the show with her gratitude. Is that what it's called? At the end of each episode, it helps, especially sitting here at work. I listen in the morning, so it helps get through the day. Love you guys. Smiley face.
We love you too.
That's awesome. Mari, I forgot what Mari does for a living. What do you do that you're still going to work? Yeah.
I forget what she does, but yeah, she's still going to work. Good for her.
I like the idea that she's maybe she works at a grocery store and she's listening and just not talking to the people coming through the line, just ringing people up.
I like to think of Mari as the fire chief. Fire in chief. The fire and cheese.
Somebody's been playing imagination time with their toddlers too much.
Excuse me. Lauren is a very strong, independent woman, and she is capable of
Making up a position
the
at
fire woman in
Yeah,
chief.
she drives the big fire truck and she squirts the hose.
Oh my God. Thank you, Mari. And thank you, everybody who wrote in this week. We appreciate you guys. We love doing the show. Makes us feel good. And we hope that it makes you guys feel good. And yeah, as always, please keep reaching out and please keep sharing the show with your friends and family and your essential coworkers.
Yeah.
Love it. And guys, from last week, I've been dying to know because last week we talked about hand jobs, but also breath work.
Yeah.
And just to recap quickly, Cassidy, she facilitates. She facilitates breath work. Oh God, this is quite an episode. She facilitates breath work. She's been trained. She's incredible at it. And this is a healing method, and it's like therapy. I mean, Jeff, you'll be able to tell us because the in between last show and this show, Cassidy led Jeffrey pro bono. I might add. Just kidding.
That means naked.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I think you were in the sun for too long.
Which was the weirdest part about the breath work was that she's like, now get nude. Then she also said, is it okay if I record this so I can use this later? It's like, sure.
She led. How am I the serious one?
I know.
Like every episode, I'm the one who's trying to keep it together. I'm the dad of the podcast.
Yeah, just this episode, me and Cassidy's silly cycles are synced up.
Oh, God, I don't even know what.
Part of it, I don't know. It's good. Cassie, you just got out of the sun, right?
So I was summoned. I was told the babies are asleep. Hurry up! And I was laying in the sun. It's very important to get your vitamin D right now, guys. Helps with your immune system. And so here I am in my bathing suit and all sweaty. I wish it was smell-o-vision because.
Don't worry, Bo. You'll go back to being the funny one if she keeps saying stuff like smell-o-vision. Smell-o-vision.
I love you. Nothing. It's insane. It's
so funny.
Yeah, well, the reason why she was summoned is because we are now reduced to doing the show while our children are napping. So we gotta keep the show moving. No, but yeah. So we only have until they wake up.
Yeah.
So hopefully they stay asleep. And so yes, one went to sleep. You can't predict it. We got to go with the flow. One fell asleep. We've got twins, so we've got to get the other one to sleep, or else it doesn't work. So here we are. We got them both to sleep, and here we are, all sun drenched and ready to go. So Cassidy led Jeffrey through some breath work, and yeah, I want to hear about it. I'm dying to hear about it. So Jeff, what was your experience with, like, how did it go? Give us a little bit of a recap of, like, maybe Cassidy can first give us a quick recap of like how it goes, like what are we doing during breath work? What does that really mean? Briefly, and then let's hear about Jeff's experience.
So breathwork meditation is a healing tool and modality. It's a type of meditation. It involves a two-part breath. So in that two-part breath, you are breathing through the mouth. So you breathe in through the mouth to the belly, and then in through the mouth to the heart space, and then out through the mouth. So we release. And what we're doing is we're addressing and identifying compartmentalized or compacted energies that we store throughout our body that we do not allow ourselves enough time to grieve, to process, to assimilate, to just really reflect upon. And then sometimes we go into these breathwork sessions with an intention. The session that I had with Jeffrey J, we did not have an intention. So he briefly let me know how he was feeling in that moment. And then I think pretty quickly he lied down and we got right to it.
Yeah. And Cassidy does also uses her intuition and kind of feels into what the client, the sitter, is that what you took about?
I'm the sitter.
You're the
sitter.
Be
the space holder, and I'm sitting holding. But yeah, so it's definitely intuitively led. I pair my sessions with music, some simply based on breath. And so the music was a really cool aspect of our session. Jeffrey J, I believe there was one thing that really stood out there. But yeah, let's let Jeffrey J express.
Yeah, and also too, especially since I'm going to be talking about some personal like stuff. If you see someone going across, again, me and my partner are both quarantined, so I'm sharing a space. Yeah, we're holding each other's space, which is the exact same space. So, anywho, I have been struggling with trying to figure out how to talk about this and not sound like an insane person. Because immediately just trying to describe this without sounding insane is really difficult.
Yeah. It's gnarly. I talked about my experience last week, and it is wild. It's trippy. It's, and also it taps into the same sort of things that one experiences when they are like on a hallucinogen.
Oh, I was on I have done, so let me, you know how like you qualify yourself as a professional? I have done a lot of drugs.
He's a pro.
Yeah, I have done ecstasy many times in my life. It's been years and years and years since I've done most of them. But I have done acid. I've done LSD, acid, LSD, same thing, several times. I've done DMT many times.
You have? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I have. Yeah, DMT is amazing, and it's very life changing.
Ooh, I want you to tell me about that sometime.
It is very similar to breathwork. And
Cool. I look forward to talking about that.
I cannot, just to start off and give my initial description, it is like being, without saying the F word, it is like tripping balls. It is like doing a drug. And it is insane. Meditation is nice. Meditation's nice. It's stress relieving. It's not like being physically high. This was like I took a drug. I took a drug is the only way that I can describe it. And I was like, so you can just do DMT without buying anything. You can just do it. So and when we were done, I asked Cassie, I was like, how much do you charge for this? Because I'm just thinking like, well, this is my drug budget. Like
You're
I
my
used to,
dealer, and I've got to
you
save.
are my dealer now.
Yeah.
And so getting into it, first of all, I did not know. I didn't look anything up because I didn't want to know of any other ways to do breath work. I didn't want to know if this was a different way or the same way as other people do breath work. So I chose not to look anything up and just to go into it. The first thing I did was I told Cassidy I tried to put it off. But I tried to give the out of putting it off. Like if the babies are crazy today, don't worry about it. Oh, you don't have to do it today because the previous days before I did this breath work, I had been constantly putting off my own self-care and horribly stressed
Mm,
and just completely out of whack. And instead of taking care of myself or doing anything that I should have, I just binged shows.
mm.
Just tried to run away from every thought.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
I was,
sure a lot of people are relating to that right now too. A lot of people I think are filling their quarantine time with binge watching Netflix and everything else, which look like we watch shows and stuff like that and there's definitely space for that, but it's good to recognize like you are when it's avoidance, when it's the avoidance of dealing with life or feelings. So good for you for acknowledging that. I'm sure a lot of people touching into that.
yeah, and it has its place. Binging has a place, and it's
Yeah,
great.
Totally.
that's what I was going to say
Totally.
too.
Yeah, so,
Absolutely.
anyways, to start so that we get some of these specific things out of the way about it, is
Mm-hmm.
that so I got into my room, and just to describe the experience, I got into my room and had Cassidy on a Zoom meeting, and I turned my lights because I have the smart lights to purple because I was like, this feels right, and laid down on my bed. And Cassidy, first of all, Cassidy is so wonderful at what she does. There's no self consciousness. She, you can really feel each other's energy,
Mm-hmm.
and everything, every word she speaks has pure intentions with zero judgment, which I
Yeah.
think is the most important thing in the world. Because if you have even an inkling of self judgment, I don't feel like you'll let yourself go as far as you can.
Yes.
And you want to get the most out of this because it takes a while to get to the point you need to get to in breath work. Um, and I'm speaking all having done this once.
Yeah,
And
but you
Yeah,
do it
maybe.
once and you get it. You'll
Right.
I look, I've only done it 3 times and every time it has gone deeper, but like you get it. You've if you've gone through that door, there's no going back, like in the most beautiful way. But
Yeah.
like it can get deeper
Yep.
and things like that. But yeah, you know what you're talking about because you lived it. You got it. You
yeah,
did it.
I was in another. The problem with it is you get to that point, it's very similar to DMT, where you experience things in a way that you can't describe them with words. And that, because then you start to say, well, everything came together all at once, and I saw every experience I've had in my life all at one time. And also, this person was there. One thing that happened to me in our breathwork session, so as Cassidy, comforted me and said she was going to have music alongside it, then I laid down on the bed and I closed my eyes and I did my breathing, and I was ready for lobster claws. That's the one thing. I was just ready for the lobster claws to come out.
It's when from all the breathing, like one of the sort of side effects, one of the things that can happen is you
Tetany.
clench up. Yeah,
Yeah, tetany.
tetany. Yeah,
Tetany.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I was tetanied out.
Did
It's
you? Did you get them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, your whole body becomes this tingly mess and of like it wasn't painful, but it was weird. And we start her two-part breathing that she does, and at first I'm just enjoying it and starting to relax. I'm a little self-conscious about my breathing type, but then you start to get your rhythm,
Yes.
and Cassidy will also remind you like when it's good, okay to like keep breathing if you kind of stop for a moment, because for a moment I started to laugh a little bit. And at first I was a little self-conscious about it because I didn't you don't want to think like I'm laughing at the situation,
Yeah.
but really everything that's coming through is just wonderful. Um,
Yeah.
then I just to sum up what happened in my experience is that my whole life I remember gaining my first memory, and this is something I've always remembered. I didn't remember it in this moment, but my
Mhm.
first memory ever, I was 3 or so, whatever, however old I was. I was at my grandmother's Montessori school, and I remember becoming a plane of existence. Like I exist and I have thoughts and memories now, and um, that's my first memory ever. And then I had this flash of my grandmother there with me and her being proud of me, and this
Mhm.
experience of seeing everything I've done in my life leading up to my now my true passion of helping children
Wow,
and
man.
doing what I'm doing with this show right now where I get to help children and teach them and be there
It's
for them.
JJ time.
Yeah.
That's the YouTube show that Jeff's referring to. And it's
Yeah.
really wonderful if you have kids.
Yeah. And it was very interesting. Everything came together and it just everything made perfect sense and I felt the pureness of everything. And my grandmother was there with me. And then I started to cry, and but they were the happiest tears I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
I just pure, I felt that what I'm doing right now, the reason it can only be successful is because I'm doing everything with the purest of intentions,
Mm.
and it makes sense. And I felt so much gratitude. I felt this whooshing into your lives of YouTube and how beautiful it is that everything I was doing at this moment in my life was so pure and loving and creating this beautiful space. This is where I start to sound crazy again. It was like an explosion of light and a bubble where all of this positive energy was like spreading outwards because of
Mm.
the Hippie Dippy show and like having created this opportunity to have this experience. So I've got lobster claws.
What
I
were your
am,
lips like?
oh, like a butthole.
Yep. Yeah, I always get butthole lips.
Yeah, you get butthole lips and they're
Lobster
good and
claws are
dry.
fun.
And
You
you
look like a
just,
little dinosaur.
I know, and I'm crying. And I'm making, and then at every moment that I started to feel any sort of self-consciousness, Cassidy intuitively immediately knows to tell me that that's okay by saying like,
Yeah.
feel free to make any noise that comes to you, and I'm just like, just something weird comes out,
Totally.
and and then a song comes on that has extreme meaning to me, and I'm like, this song, why? Why? It was Stand By Me. And
Wow.
it's the first song I learned to play on the guitar. It's a song that I played it. I hadn't played my guitar in a long time. I had picked it up and I played that song on my guitar that day.
Dude, what are the chances? Well, the chances are that it's not chance. It's
Yeah.
being linked. It's that whatever you want to call it, the great magnet energy, synchronicity, whatever you want to call it, oneness. That when people talk about one love or we are one, that is it. From a, I want to talk about it real quick, just from a joke writing standpoint. I think you've had this too, Jeff. I think almost every comic has. I've written jokes, right? And I've not performed them even. And then I'll turn on the TV and there's Jim Gaffigan telling my joke that
Mm-hmm.
I wrote. And it's like, and there's so many accusations of stealing in the stand-up community, but so much of it is just we're on this wavelength and we're open to this thing, humor, right? Or whatever, comedy. And if you're there and if you're in this space, there's a timeline, there's a not a timeline, but an energetic line, like a string. I always see it as like a string that's connecting us all, right?
Yeah.
And so we're all feeding into the same stuff, and that intuition, that third eye, and that crown chakra, when those things open up and are working, oh my God, the things that you will realize. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they have that too with the people will invent things in two different parts of the world at the exact same time. Like nobody's done this before, and now two people on the opposite sides of the planet have created
Mhm.
the same thing with the same ideas.
Totally.
Um, yeah, I firmly believe in that. too, where,
Yeah.
you know, you can just connect.
And yes, and that's what makes Cassidy so great at what she does, is that she is so intuitive, and as you alluded to as well or said, she's so good at being that space holder, you know, and being that person that's just there for you. And because she is so attuned and tapped in and tapped into you, even via Zoom, you know, that's remarkable to me. Like that she can link up in your energy from far away, from through a computer, and be able to feel into what you need in that moment. And that's what makes you special
Thank you
at
for
what you do.
thank you for, you know, sharing that, expressing that, and that's true, and I believe that's a part of it. But it's not just me, you know. It takes willingness, right? So willingness to open up that channel, that frequency. So Jeffrey J, it was your willingness to be vulnerable, your willingness to show up that day, even though you were feeling like putting it off still, even like you were feeling the avoidance, right? All of that resistance, you chose to surrender and to show up for yourself. So in that surrendering, that opened up the portal for me and you to communicate. That opened up a portal for me and the universe, right? And whatever other spirit guides that came through me to you, and you through me back to them. It's just this whole energetic connection, like you're saying. I don't, you know, I myself, like, I humbly receive, but I feel like anybody could do it. If you were open, you know, everybody has an intuition. Anybody could be in my position. Anybody. Is that, you know, your passion? Is that something that you're open to, that you know?
Anybody can do what, anybody can sort of channel that, you're saying, and facilitate this healing work.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, well, that's what your mentor, David Elliott, talks about in his book, The Reluctant Healer, which I highly recommend. Has really been powerful for me. He talks about anybody can do what he does. He doesn't take credit for it. He looks at it as spirit or God or whatever you want to call it, working through him. And he's the instrument, you know, he's the conduit. And yeah, and when you do that too, you're, it's like you talked about, Jeff, like taking out, you take out ego and you have the best intention, right? I'm here to facilitate. I'm open to the experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I invite, I'm not telling anybody to do anything, but I really invite, you know, all of you listening right now and us here to consider that we're not alone in this world. We're just not. Like, look at the forces of nature that are around us. They are energy. Yesterday, I was said to our children, it was super windy, and I was, you know, it kind of scared me, and I guess we'll get to that a little bit later. It was really, really, really windy out here, and Jack, our son Jack, said, you know, what is that? You know, why? He asked some question, and I said, well, that's Mother Earth. Mother Earth, sometimes she feels like she needs to clean out some energy, so the wind blows, or I don't know. I just kind of said it in that moment, and it was this thought that just came out of my mouth, and I had never even really thought of it like that. And then, you know, it hit me even deeper, like, oh, it made me a little emotional, like, oh shit, it's so true. We do have a lot of, you know, stuff that the earth is working through, that we are working through. And yeah,
Mother Earth is just blowing hot air.
That's right. On one of her friggin' ramps again.
Must be that time of the earth.
Oh, great.
On
the Mother Earth's on the rag again.
She deserves it. Leave her alone. Get her some ice cream.
Yeah, get her some bonbons and lock her in her room. I
bet your house is so pleasant with Cassidy's.
Oh my God, we could do a whole show.
I'm the worst.
Jesus.
You want to talk PMS? Let's talk about it.
I thought it was supposed to be 5 days.
Yeah.
You don't get 3 weeks. maybe if you're on your period for 3 weeks, maybe you're just an asshole.
Yeah, I want proof that you're still on it. Show me.
Yeah.
Me. That's
You
horrible.
know you're not. You're going swimming.
And I'm teasing. Like,
Yeah.
it has been a learning experience as far as that for me.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, a lot of space holding. Um,
I took a pelvic floor workshop for yoga teacher training. Man, let me tell you, ladies, I know what's going on down there. So you want me to hold space for you? I'm about to do a whole episode on
Pelvic.
our uterus, and how it swells and how uncomfortable that is. And I get it. I'm here for you, and I want these men and other women in the world to understand what we're going through.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do an episode on blue balls
My uterus.
and sweatiness of nuts.
My uterus is in a dumpster in Texas somewhere. I got a hysterectomy and got the ute scooped.
Is that a thing, Jeff?
By the way, everybody, just real quick, just to remind everybody, Jeff is transgender.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff's transgender.
Why are you laughing?
Because
Oh, is that a funny thing?
we used to do that on a previous podcast, and somebody made bumper
I
stickers.
I still have it. I still have it. Somebody made a bumper sticker.
The way Jeff is transgender.
I still have it. Yeah.
Oh
I have by the way, Jeff is transgender sticker. I stuck it on my computer because I thought this is the funniest thing ever.
It is.
So I have a question. I just have an honest question here, Deputy. When you have your hysterectomy and you're going through that process, is that something that you can, what's like, donate? No, donor?
Oh, so this is hilarious because so I got mine because after you start testosterone, mine started hurting a lot. About a year or so into it, it would hurt. And since this is an honest podcast, I'll just say it didn't. It hurt like 1,000 needles, the most pain ever, immediately after orgasm.
Oh,
That's the only time.
really?
Yes. So it didn't hurt regularly, but immediately after I would get off, then you would be like, "Ah, this is wonderful." Ow! Immediate doubled over in pain. So so I'm on testosterone, so I'm horny all the time. As when you first start taking testosterone, you are like a 12-year-old boy who wants it all the time. And then you have to weigh like, oh, I want to have sex, but I know immediately after it's horrible. That part right before is fantastic. So it was like the worst. It was like a Sophie's Choice situation anytime I wanted to have sex. So, I I I get it all approved. I'm gonna fast forward through all the other things that had to happen. My mother comes to the operating, like, to be there with me while I'm gonna have my hysterectomy. The doctor is the most hilarious, most wonderful doctor I've ever had in my life. I'm in an all women's hospital. The Nancy Perot, whoever's Ross Perot's wife, she has her own hospital in Texas. No male has ever been in this hospital before. I'm in there getting a hysterectomy.
Yeah, you turned into one midway through the operation and walked out illegal in that place. Not welcome.
Yeah. So the doctor, first he comes in and he comes in, and my mother, who is hilarious, he walks in and she goes, "Okay, it's gonna be a good operation." My mom goes, "You been drinking?" To the doctor right off the bat, and he goes, "No," and she goes, "Oh, so you're gonna do a good job on my son?" And he goes, "I didn't say that. I usually do better with a couple in me." And I was like, "You're amazing." And then my mother goes, "Well, what can he do with his uterus? He's not using it. Can he
turn it into a purse?"
Yeah, yeah. She said, "Can you donate it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm sure somebody wants an already in pain uterus." He's like, "Yeah, good point."
Oh my
broken.
goodness.
Yeah. So no, you can't, because it was already in pain and broken. You can't donate it.
I see. Thank you, Jeff. I was hoping it would be like that. Was it? Will Smith in that one movie where he like gives his eyes. He finds a person he wants to give the eyes to, and he finds a person he wants to give his heart to, and is that Will Smith?
I don't remember this movie at all.
Men in
Sounds like
Black?
Saw.
Was it like 7 something?
Men in Black.
Seven?
I don't know. It was the most beautiful movie in the whole. Anyways, my point
Fresh
is
Prince
that
of Bel-Air?
I was hoping there was some story and
Wild
some
Wild West?
beautiful universe and
Pitch.
iRobot. Because he was giving away
No.
his eyes.
7 pounds.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
That sounds familiar.
Tweet us how wrong we are.
Ironically, that is how much Jeff's uterus weighed.
God, that's a hefty uterus.
Honestly, when you're bleeding in your menstrual cycle and it's really swollen, I think it swells up to like above 5 pounds. I had to print out my notes.
My uterus.
Oh my God. That was amazing. Well, to finish up the breathwork stuff, which I always love when we go on our tangents. It's my favorite.
I love it too. It's always good stuff.
Yeah. After we were done and I cried, and then with the session was done, I couldn't sit up. I felt once you stop the breathing and you get to really like live in what you just did, you feel so high. I mean, you genuinely, that's when you really accept how high you are. I think when you're no longer focusing on the breathing, that's when you can just feel, you figure out like, holy crap, I'm high out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I felt zero stress. If you're a person who doesn't believe in, you connected spiritually, you did, you saw things, whatever, what you do know is that you're high and you have zero stress.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just take it as that's what happens, you get so much out of this. And I just wanted to lay there and giggle, and I loved life. And also too, while we were in session, I then after we were done, I picked up my phone, and I had gotten a phone call from somebody who's another person I'm attached to spiritually. We're the type of people where we call each other only when the other person needs it, and we didn't know that they needed it. That happened. um I didn't want to leave my room because I was terrified of any energy outside of the room for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to lose this beautiful space that we had created.
Yeah.
And then I sat there and I was like, but I want to share my energy with my beautiful partner as well. So that's why I ended up leaving the room. And yeah, but it was a beautiful, amazing experience. Anybody who is willing to try this breath work, please, please do it. It was the greatest gift I could have asked for, and I'm so grateful for the experience. So yeah, there was breath work for me.
That's so cool. Cass, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Jeffrey J, thank you for being our guinea pig for the show, and thank you for being so vulnerable and just showing up for yourself. That really takes a lot of work. It's not easy, to even first of all admit that you're not feeling well or in a good place, whatever that means. And then I want to touch on one thing that you did say in the beginning. You were talking about how you said the only problem with it is that you feel these feelings that like you can't put into words, and I sound really crazy when I'm trying to explain it. Is there really something wrong with that? Like, I don't even really see that as a problem because this session was for you. It's not something that you have to explain to anyone unless you're on
a podcast.
Yeah. You feel called to share it with somebody. That's so funny. But what I just mean is like it's a release. It's a sensation release, and will show you, that you can access this by yourself without any plant medicine, without any drugs. You can do this. You can shift into a parallel universe. Okay, you didn't leave this earthly plane. You went into your room, you lie down, you breathed, and then you reintegrated back with your partner. And we can do that. We can do that. We can be angry, and then if we sit with that emotion long enough, we can process it and then choose peace.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. I can't believe that it's not a thing people talk about more because it's so mind-blowing.
Yeah, well, and it is increasing in its
Totally.
prevalence. Like, I think people are starting to become more aware of it, but even in like the yoga community, for example, which they do a lot of focus on your breath. I've talked to yogis before, and they're like, yeah, my wife does breath work, and they're like, oh yeah, I do breath work. I'm like, oh
It's
no, you
different.
don't. I was like I don't think I said it at the time, but the idea is like, oh, absolutely you do not, because you because if you did, you'd be like, holy crap, breath work is amazing.
Or
I
Yeah.
love.
you know it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have a bigger reaction. I knew that she meant like, oh yes, there's classes that we do that focus on the breath, or
Yeah.
like
No,
that.
it's like meeting another person who owns an Instapot. Like, you're like, you have an Instant Pot? Oh, I make chicken in it. I use it like every day. Have you made yogurt yet? Like, the minute that you connect with someone on that level, breathwork is
Totally,
the Instant Pot of like experience.
totally, and that's something that I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I intend to go and study with David Elliott as well, because I know that I'm being called to facilitate breath work. And it's something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about the breath. It's a new passion. I know that sounds like a strange passion, but yeah, I know how powerful it is, and part of that is thanks to Cassidy, for introducing breath work into my life, and yeah, I intend to do that, and I guess my point was like, I want to share this with as many people as possible. And that's why, like, I'm so stoked. That's why we did a 2-part episode on it too, and like to share it with you guys. I hope honestly that people that listen or watch the show reach out to Cassidy, to inquire about it, learn more about it, and hopefully do it with her. Um, because I want to see that money rolling. No,
Yeah.
no, like,
Oh my
I'm
God.
kidding. I'm kidding. No, because I want. Well, I say that as a joke because I feel like it's like a commercial, but
Yeah.
it's not. Like, I'm embarrassed of it sounding like, "Hey, please use my wife." Blah blah.
Yeah.
Blah. Like,
I'm more humiliated by this.
Well, you know what
oh,
I like is that you're holding the money in your breathwork lobster claws.
oh god,
Like, you can't hold on to it.
oh god. Um, So no, I make that joke to sort of pacify, because I'm self-conscious of the idea of it sounding like a commercial. But my point is, like, I just want as many people to experience this as possible.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the first thing I thought, and like afterwards, because I was not self-conscious about asking anything or saying anything until like I had made a joke too, like, how much do you charge for this? Because all I could think in my world was like, I want my mother and father to both do this, both as hippy dippy people in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, I had to wait till the morning to call them and tell them about the experience,
Yeah.
and that was like killing me because
Right.
all I could think was like, okay, these are the people in my life that I know are open to it, because you have to have this level of openness to, honestly, you probably don't have to have that much openness. As long as you follow the directions, you're going to get somewhere.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
you're open to it, you go much farther.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
commit to the idea of it. But yeah, I'm excited for my parents first off to experience. Is my dad's already, he meditates daily,
Oh, cool.
and my
That's great.
mother is into everything else hippy dippy and also meditates as well. But I was just
Awesome.
like, oh my gosh. And then I started looking it up again online and
Mm,
trying to find it. And there's all these different names for different ones. And so then I'm going on my own adventure of trying to figure out, okay, what is this? And some of them call it holotropic breathwork. And I don't know what yours is. And then you find this whole subgenre of just basically teenagers to young YouTubers where the titles are uh, breathing can get you fucked up. And then, like,
no
Whoa.
I
way.
did trippy breathing and released DMT naturally. And this
Oh,
is,
really?
yeah, there's this whole area of YouTube with it, and it's just people being like, "This is a drug," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm with you on that. It is a drug," and it's a very interesting way of them putting it.
That's
Um,
trippy because that reminds me of when I was a kid. I was in like sixth and seventh grade, and we used to do this thing.
Make each other pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like we would breathe in and out, cross our arms, and then you exhale, and then somebody pushes on your chest, and then like you pass out and
yeah,
like have horrible like I like all I remember is I like had some weird dream about like or whatever about the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Um and yeah, we used to do that as kids, and it's like, oh, I've been into breath work my whole life.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that was an interesting thing I thought I'd bring up is that when I tried to, like, because I'm A, trying to put words to it, and B, trying to learn about it, and it also feels so good. When something feels that good and it feels like a drug, I immediately think, like, is this dangerous, though? And so my
Mm,
first thought was, like, can this be dangerous at all? And so
mm.
that's why I started looking it up and trying to see, is there any danger in this? And then one thing I saw was a lot of people doing 30-day breathwork challenges,
Wow. What
which
does that mean?
they do it every day for 30 days.
Yeah, like it doesn't even have to be a challenge. It's like just a journey because it's trying to go deeper. Like for example, when you have plant medicine, you can go on a dieta with your plant medicine, and you don't just journey once. You journey, over a course of days or a week or a month, so that you can go deeper. You practice one session one time, and then what? Where's the
Right.
integration? Like
Right.
you really need to understand what you're experiencing and what's coming up for you. You just, I think you're doing yourself a major disservice if you do it one time and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this is because as soon as I saw it, I was like, I can do this every day. This is awesome. And then I realized that I didn't want to, at least for this first time, I didn't want to go because I'm like, I could do 30 days for sure. I'm like, I could do it. And then I realized for this first one, I need some time to process it and let it
Yeah.
soak in. It's
Oh,
just like when I used to do DMT. When I would do DMT, you don't want to do it again immediately because you want time to process everything that just happened to you and whatever universe you just visited.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I felt the same way doing mushrooms, where like, yeah, I didn't want to do it for a while, and I didn't need to. I was kind of riding the magic from it for quite a while. It really stuck with me.
Yeah, and that's what's healthy. And it's also been the nice thing about being personally just an alcoholic because because I've done these harder drugs in my life and
Yeah.
I've never been an addict for anything else. You give me alcohol and I'm, an insane person. But I can do mushrooms once and be like, I need to feel this for a month, or a year or
Right.
whatever. Or somebody will say, like, I have this, and I'm like, it's not right now. And, like, other people who are addicts are like, oh, I want everything. And I'm like, no, I'm
Right.
processing. Bud Light, a million, please.
Jesus.
I love you so. You're so great. Oh man. Yeah, I want to also say, I know you touched on it, but like that's such an important thing. Like you didn't feel like doing it, and because Cassidy relayed that to me, that you didn't feel like doing it, and what you said to her is, and that's why you know you should. And that's such a big deal, man. That's self-discipline, and we need that, you know what I mean, like as humans,
And awareness.
human beings going through this process, it's awareness. We need to have that self-awareness, exactly, so that we do make these tougher choices. And they get easier the more you make the better choice for yourself, the more momentum you get, and then the harder it is to make the less, the sort of lower vibrational choice, right? Like
I like that.
the more you feel how good it is for you to make these better choices, the more you know the power of your self-care, the harder it is to treat your body and your spirit and your emotions poorly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I just hope that I could properly express how infinitely insane and amazing breathwork is, how I had no idea what it was,
Yeah.
and how I just hope that everyone in the world can experience it and somehow integrate it into their life.
Yeah.
And I
I
can't
do
wait to
too.
see where I end up with it, because that
Yeah.
was just opening a door. And now I'm still figuring out, like, where does this have a place in my life? Like, how do I
Mhm.
use it to, like, its purpose? And that's why I'm not doing it right now either, because I want to do it with the proper intention, because it was so pure in the moment, and I was like, I did it right. And I want it to stay pure and wonderful.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and thank you, Cassidy, because I mean, it was just so, again, anytime I've ever done anything that has to do with self care and you, it's been so perfect, and it just makes sense in the moment, and zero self consciousness, and everything you say is like, how'd you know? In such a great way. And you'll say things too that I think other people would accept. I don't want to say too many things like out loud, because in my head this was a shared experience for me and you, but like some our energies messing up something or whatever, I firmly believe that that really happens. I feel like other people might not believe that our energies can affect physical things, but anywho, that's where I'm at.
Ah, I see. I see. I see. I see. I see.
Yeah, everyone listening, it's an inside thing.
I think, well, I think we
Just
could,
kidding.
because we sort of touched on this for a second. So, in I forget which episode we talked about your friend Chip and how he has a mentor,
Oh
and the
yeah.
mentor can't touch any laptops
They
because
break.
they break because of his energy or something like that. So, Jeffrey, what he's talking about, and we don't have to censor this. This
Yeah.
is why we have the show. It's up to you. We're not forcing you to believe anything. Take it, as you will. But during our session, I believe energy started picking up, picking up, and picking up momentum, and that channel, shoo, was like super clear. Um, and then we had like glitches with the music, and I just knew, and Jeffrey J knew, like it had to do with the energy, and our energy was being playful and silly and fun, and pausing long enough for him to integrate some other thoughts that he was having, and then it would like turn on, and then probably say something that he was meant to hear, or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the music stopped at one point, and she's like, "Oh, you had said something to the tune of like, oh, I think the energy's messing with the music." And in my head, without saying it too, I was communicating, "Well, that's because you needed to hear me breathe." And then you adjusted my breathing right in that moment without saying. I had not said any words. The music had stopped perfectly, and there was an adjustment that was made, and it all
Wow.
just in my head, it was seamless. In my head, it was all happening with purpose. I had no idea that anything might have been off because it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, because it wasn't. That's the truth. Yeah.
So
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say real quick, part of what's happening on the physiological level for people that are interested in that component too is and why part of why you might feel high afterwards, I think, is because you're alkaline. You're turning your body back to alkaline. Your blood back to alkaline. Excuse me. By
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I just have to be honest.
Please do.
I am laughing because I feel so high and healthy right now. And just before the podcast, Emma went and got McDonald's. And I am sitting next to these fries and mentally going, I don't want this anymore. And it's so sad. I'm having this internal battle all while we're talking, and I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I've been so healthy today, and I've eaten raw and vegan, and now I have McDonald's, and I don't want you anymore. I'm having like a soap opera in my head.
That's so funny.
Hilarious.
But also, like, and you can, like, and look, I know that it's different for you in the sense of like, you know how it's going to kind of make you feel, but like, there's room for treats. Look, I've been really sort of, my body's been changing a lot lately. Like I'm shedding poundage and like because I'm eating well and I'm doing intermittent fasting and I feel tremendous, which Jeffrey does as well. And then at the end of the night, like I eat a lot of ice cream. You know what I mean? And look, it doesn't make me feel great. And I know that eventually I'm going to cut it out. But right now, this is what I'm doing, and I accept that. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, I get it too, because I do the same thing. I'll take out and I'll eat amazing and raw and perfect, and then I've got a giant bag of discount Easter candy that I've got, and I'll just sit there and I'll have this whole pile of it, and Emma will look at me and she'll go, "Baby, you ate so well all day," and I'll go, "Would you rather me be drinking?"
Because I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll drink so hard. I don't even have any need. And also, if you get sober, it's the best comeback ever. You can say it after anything. I'll fart, and she'll be like, "Stop farting," and I'll go, "Would you rather me be drinking?"
Oh, please.
And Jeff always keeps a Bud Light Lime actually, stashed in his right pocket, and he'll just pull it out and put his pointer finger, his index finger under the lip to threaten to crack it. I'll fucking crack it.
I have a crack pipe too. I've never done crack, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So you are oxygenating your blood.
Hyperoxygenating.
Okay. Can I finish? Can I say things? How dare you? So you're hyper oxygenating your blood, and you're turning it back into alkaline, which is our natural state. That's where we're supposed to be. Our blood is supposed to be alkalinic, right? More basic than as opposed to being acidic, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that we put in our body and all the toxins, it makes it more acidic. So we're getting back to where we're supposed to be in our blood. And also, I think it's also, I don't want to get this wrong, especially in front of this one.
Yeah, I have facts, McGee.
Right, yeah. Oh, I know medical things. I'm also a nurse. Get on your education.
We don't care about the truth on this show.
Yeah, man. This is for thoughts. But it's also accessing, like it's really accessing. It's accessing different parts of your brain than you and it's kind of avoiding certain parts of your brain and accessing others that are not accessible through words and language and things like that, like the hypothalamus. Right? Is it the hypothalamus?
Yeah, I know that because I watched the YouTube.
She won't say it out loud?
Yeah.
She doesn't want to validate it for those who are just listening on the podcast, but she said, because I got one right. Hypothalamus. Dang.
There's so many.
I don't even care right now.
I love it. I love it too, because we do have to get closer to wrapping up, sadly, too.
No.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so great that you're getting loud, because then your children can just be like, it was them. But yeah, does anyone too? So yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because I did see that when I looked up YouTube videos on it, on the parts of the brain. The hypothalamus is a thing that is said in one of the videos. So
listen, okay, our hypothalamus controls a lot of things, and we can listen. This is just like, tell us. It's gonna get no. It's
too much.
It's too much. It's pointless. Here's the thing: you're accessing different things that you're not typically accessing because you are just focusing on the breath, and you're allowing an openness. And yes, you're right. There's a difference between oxygen levels and carbon dioxide levels, and yada 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 yada. You can look all that up for yourself if you want the research.
Yeah.
Genius.
But this is not a medical podcast,
it's so not. We don't know anything.
No, I just don't want to touch too much into that. Is not what's important, because we are the Hippie Dippy show, right?
Yeah.
So we're leaning into the other side of things. We're leaning to the spiritual aspects. We're leaning into the otherworldly or the divine or
yes.
Yeah, nerds. Take it elsewhere if you want facts and knowledge. Talking about your hearts.
I love the idea of the jock douchey hippie person.
Heck yeah, man. Blessings on your life.
Ooh, you got a brown aura.
Stand that.
Oh my god. Well, is there anything we want that anyone feels like they need to touch on or anything before we wrap up today's episode?
I stink like garbage.
Good thing it's not smell-o-vision.
I love callbacks. That's probably the word that you've taught me in our relationships. Callbacks. I used a callback.
You did.
It's some joke that Bo typically makes, and I used it, and he had no clue. It was like, excuse me, I did it. I did a callback.
That's the. And if you've taken anything from this podcast episode, it's now you know what a callback is.
Yeah, it's when you set up and pay off a joke, and then you come back and you reference that joke later.
You feel real accomplished when you're married to a comedian who does that for a living and also naturally.
Yeah. That being said, I will bring up something ridiculous. Dating a comedian is interesting, and I will share something that has nothing to do with anything, except I almost left my partner today. I almost moved out because she said the words, I guess can I say the F word on this podcast if I'm like...
I think it affects our YouTube.
Got it. So
but I said it earlier, so
it doesn't matter. Yeah, so the F word. Anyways, so she goes, everything's effed. And I go, nothing's effed, dude. Nothing is effed. Everything's cool. Nothing is effed, dude. And I was like, what's that from? And she's like, I don't know. It's the Big Lebowski. And she goes, oh, I thought you were going to say it was from Ted and Bill.
Ted and Bill.
And I was like, do you mean Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Not only did you not know the Big Lebowski, but you called it Ted and Bill? And I called somebody because I needed to process this moment. Because I had been physically hurt by her comments.
It's hurtful.
Yeah, and I called my cousin and I said, this was what happened. He said, yeah, but how would you feel if you were dating someone who was 10 years older than you? And they said, oh, you've never seen Harold and Maude? And I was like, yeah, but I would never call it Maude and Harold.
Maude and Harold, yeah.
at least known better. But
I guarantee you, Cassidy has no idea.
I was just going to say about that. Okay, let me tell you this. I don't know what the hell Bill and Ted and Bill's Excellent Adventures. I don't know the Big Lebowski. I don't know Harold and Mauve. I don't know.
Harold and Mauve.
You get Emma over here and you let Emma know she can call me, and we can talk about how movie quotes.
Yeah, there we go. That's Emma too. See, Bo, we need to have a guys' weekend and then they can have a girls' weekend. Yeah. And also, another thing, Harold and Mauve is the story of a gay man who's a decorator.
Yeah.
It's Harold and Mauve.
I'm thinking about making this room Harold and Mauve.
I thought it was like the color, Harold and the purple crayon.
Yeah. Yeah, Harold and the purple crayon.
I'm just a mom.
I just want to know what your conversations with Emma would be like. Hey, Emma, guess what? I don't know shit again today. I know. Don't you hate when people expect you to know stuff? Don't you hate it when people expect you to just get references or have lived a life where you paid attention to what the F was going on around you? I know!
Get some McDonald's, bitch.
Yeah. And me and Bo are just shittily going like, can you believe people don't know some movies?
I know. Can you believe they haven't seen everything?
Yeah, that we specifically like because we grew up with it.
Yeah, I said words that were in a thing one time.
Yeah, how dare they not have my life experience?
Doesn't she know I don't have original thoughts?
I think this is healthy.
This is good.
Well, I love you guys. Is there anything that you need to touch in on or anything, or we want to have our moment of gratitude?
I'm pretty good on touching right now. I'm super grateful for everybody. I'm super grateful for the show and everybody watching and listening, and for you, Cassidy, and for you, Jeffrey. It's such a beautiful experience and such a wonderful part of my practice. And opening up my throat chakra, which is where our communication and expressing ideas that I hold dear, which has been an issue for me. By the way, the tetany that you're experiencing in the dinosaur hands and lips, that, as David Elliott says, can be and likely is part of holding back and feeling not being as fully expressed through your throat chakra as your spirit may desire it to be. I know that that's true for me. So something to look at for you. What are you not expressing? What are you holding back in your communication or your expression of who you are?
Or maybe in that literal moment, Jeffrey Day, because it was your first time.
Yeah.
So you were open, but there was a part of you that was also texting me telling me that you're a little bit nervous, So it could be a multitude of things. I love that you brought that up because I forgot about that. That's true too.
Well, are we ready for our moment of gratitude?
Alrighty.
Let's do it.
I was going to make a movie reference. I won't embarrass.
And I'm grateful that you didn't.
So let's just take a second here, and listeners, whether you are driving or at home, take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose, feel your lungs, your heart space expand, and then exhale through your mouth. Another breath like this, in through the nose. And exhale, open mouth, sigh. Give that exhale intention, give it a voice, let it be seen, heard, felt, and experienced. So inhale through the nose. And this time exhale, SH sound. Good. So what we're doing with that SH sound is we're actively, intentionally, mindfully soothing our energy, our cells, because our cells have ears. So last round, inhale through the nose. exhale, SH sound. Get a little softer with your SH sound as you finalize and finish that release, and then return to your normal quality of breath. Place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, doesn't matter which one. And use this as an opportunity to tap into one thing that you are grateful for here and now. Maybe that's the art of relation. Maybe that is laughter, lightness. So whatever that is, allow a smile to come to your lips, to your face. And then blink open your eyes. Release your hands. Take this glow with you throughout the rest of your day. You deserve it. You are worth it. We all are.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Love you, Jeffrey J.
Bye.
Love you. Bye, everyone.